Oh, look, I messed up my lipstick again because I just slapped it on there. I just tend to do that before I go live. I'm usually outside, then I run inside. I'm like, oh, I'll make myself look presentable, and I don't spend enough time doing it. So that's the way it goes. I'm going to go back outside as soon as we're done here. So I have not too many minutes. I have a few minutes. I'll take questions and whatever can come in the time that I do have. But I might catch up with you this evening. We'll see how things go. So we do have Venus coming up in a semi-square to Chiron over the next few days. And this puts us in a position where things concerning matters of love, worth, what it is that we're dedicating ourselves to, those are things that we can really struggle with over the course of time that this is in play. So things having to do with abundance, trust, a few things. Hey, Anne, I'll take a look and see what's going on my website. I don't know. I'll check after this. Vulnerability, attachment, we can struggle over the course of the next few days concerning those things. So getting ourselves in a position where we feel like we can get the rewards from relationships that we're really looking for. That's what this transit can do for us. It can make us feel it can make us feel hungry for what is enriching, the icing on the cake. We can realize that, wait, I may not have as much sweetness in my life as I really want. Venus is very much about the sugar, very much about the sweetness. And we can notice how we are lacking in terms of rewards, abundance, sweetness, what it is that makes us feel like we have enough. So we can realize points of lack or deficit and really put our efforts into finding better connections, better relationships, even better work situations that can make us feel more appreciated. So it's when we have these difficult aspects that we have a challenge and we realize, wait, what can I do to address this, to make up for this? And we have those difficult aspects to Chiron. We're looking at where it is that we might be selling ourselves short. This is a good question. Uranus in a trine to the midheaven in transit. That's very good. Trines are always very good in transit. They give us a sense of perspective because we have a very good sense of where we've come from and where it is that we're going. So when we have Uranus transiting in a trine to the midheaven, our idea of expansion and our need for something new does not get in the way in a completely disruptive sense when it comes to what we're already pursuing or what we're doing, our idea of career. So we don't have a crumbling and a wiping the slate clean that we can really experience with the hard transits. It's something where we see it as mostly beneficial. A lot of times with Uranus transits, yeah, they're beneficial, but after the crumble has happened or but when we have the trine, while it is happening, we can actually appreciate that process of change because it doesn't come with so much stress. Let's see. Advice for Moon in conjunct to Mercury in the natal chart. Well, with all of the hard aspects between Moon and Mercury, we need to be aware of how we confuse facts and feelings, and come to a better way of solving our problems where we include both intellect and emotional information in ways where we can come to a complete picture about something. We tend to err heavily on one side or the other when we have that in conjunction, and we can leave out half of what it is that we need to be considering. Let's see. A few here. Hey, Britt, I've been very busy. Been very busy, so I haven't been checking in with you guys too much. How to read a birth chart of twins with a 10-minute difference. So we are going to have some houses that are different there. We might even have a different ascendant, maybe not. But you're going to have most of the same aspects. The degree of the moon can be slightly different. But you're going to mostly be concentrating on the differences between the houses, the house cusps, and where the planets fall. Let's see. Joelle. Do you have any book recommendations for studying astrology? The Handbook for the Humanistic Astrologers, one of the best. It's very advanced. It's not for everybody. I recommend all books by Dane Rudyard. Anything by Robert Hand is a really good standby. What is her name? Sue Tompkins. She does some really, really good aspects books. Have you studied Vedic astrology? Yes, I have, but I don't think it's as good as a descriptor of personality as Western astrology affords us. Ooh, sorry, I've got a giant bee in here. Is it going to come back? He's buzzing right above you guys, right there. I will take you to the garden. I might take you right now, except my connection is the crappiest ever. Let's see. There's lots of positive Jupiter in natal aspects. Good for astrologers. Absolutely. Here he is. Did you see him? He's back. Yeah, because Jupiter's perspective used to rule astrology exclusively, I think, way back in the day. But yeah, Jupiter's vision, it is philosophy, very much about wisdom as well. So yeah, you do tend to see quite a bit of Jupiter and Mercury in the charts of astrologers, Mercury's analysis, or that third, ninth house axes. Let's see, Mrs. Snoopy. I'm liking that name. Jupiter, Mercury, Saturn, Pluto in Libra in the fourth. Sun, Aries, Mercury in the 10th. So, let's see if I can make a little bit better sense of this. So I think it's an opposition you're talking about. So it has to be Sun and Mercury opposing. I'm trying to make sense of the question. Give me a second here. Has to be Sun and Mercury opposing Jupiter, Saturn, and Pluto. So that's a lot going on in terms of, and Sun and Mercury and Aries. So it's a very strong combination of Sun and Mercury. And if that is in the 10th, so we're dealing with insecurities anytime we have hard aspects to either Saturn or Pluto, and we're dealing with an overabundance anytime we have hard aspects to Jupiter. So we have a combination of things where we can have the initial assumption of success or winning, and then we can have an equal amount of pessimism or fear come in. So when we have oppositions like that, there's a strong, strong need to prove ourselves. The ego is, because we have the Sun involved, the central makeup of how we think ourselves up. The Sun and Mercury there, the way we do things, think, process information, the Sun, the identity, how we want to be seen, validated. That's all struggling to come to some kind of equilibrium between inner and outer forces, me and you, what's happening on the inside, and understanding and having insight into what's happening on the inside and adjusting that so we get a different outcome concerning what's happening on the outside. So there's a lot that has to be achieved there in terms of self-control. So we don't have this idea that we are diminished or controlled or having some kind of unjustified boundary put on us from outside of us that we then have to either fight against or I feel like we have to kowtow to. We have to, that's kind of an old term, we have to cave to or acquiesce to in some way. So with an opposition like that, we really feel like we're fighting very heavily to wrestle our current self and the state of our life as it currently is from the hands of, or the controlling hands of the dominant parent. So there's a lot going on when it comes to regaining a sufficient amount of confidence to where we feel like we can stand up for ourselves in a very measured way where it's not too much, because we can be seen as quite dominating with that particular opposition with those particular signs involved. And that's in an effort to resist domination. Let's see, Miss Nina, solar return. The Sun opposite Saturn, so we're working very, very hard. Sun and Saturn opposite, so 1st, 7th. Definitely not having a problem with asserting ourselves in a way that we're starting things, but we can be, well, very much like the opposition we just talked about. Spending a certain amount of time, because that's about a year amount of time that we're measuring there in a solar return, spending about that amount of time maturing, drawing lines in the sand when it comes to what is it that we owe people versus what do we owe ourselves, our own personal happiness versus what we're obligated to, and coming to a better balance between those two things. So we don't feel like we are obligated or enslaved to something that we've things when it comes to our partnerships, commitments that we've made in order to assert more of our autonomy with those particular houses involved there. Okay. FG. Mercury conjunct Uranus on your birthday. So transiting Mercury is conjunct to natal Uranus on your birthday. That's an excellent transit to have. It can be coming up with all kinds of new ideas, hatching all kinds of new plans. It's really the week of the year where we start breaking previous barriers regarding what we think is possible when it comes to solving our problems, coming into new solutions, doing things differently. It's a very, very innovative week. So showing that that's showing up in your solar return. It's a period of time, that year that the solar return is measuring, where you may be thinking well outside of the box and probably deviating from a lot of norms when it comes to your daily routine. But it doesn't imply conflict, the conjunction. Scorpio moon in the 5th, house 2. Your birthday on Thursday. Oh, happy birthday. Sounds like you got some interesting things going on this year. Let's see. What is the significance of Venus and Taurus? You really want this question answered, don't you? Well, there's two expressions of Venus, isn't there? There's Taurus Venus and there's Libra Venus. So I like to say that a Taurus Venus is raw sugar, Libra Venus is refined sugar. It's a very earthy expression of Taurus, where we're into natural things, earthy things, grounding things, and definitely about the quality of things. So we are about sensual fulfillment of the senses, of what's beautiful. Appreciate what fills our eyes and our taste buds, and it makes us happy in a physical sense, and also material security, physical material security, very, very central to Taurus and particularly Venus. Charlotte, Sun conjunct Mercury, stellium, and Libra. Mercury's chart ruler squares the ascendant, Cancer, and Synastry. How will this play out? Okay, so how does a stellium person see the ascendant person? All right. Sun, Pluto, Mercury, stellium in Libra. That's a lot. Squares. It's going to depend strongly on how self-aware the Sun, Pluto, Mercury person in Libra is. It can be something where we could come across very intimidating to the ascendant person. But that is a milder sign. Libra's a milder sign. To have that coming through could be more off-putting if we have that, fire signs or more forward signs. So we're talking about two more passive energies, ways of being, Cancer and Libra. So it could be more difficult with other combinations, but we do have a conflict that is being shown by the square, in a conflict in styles. We have much more of a closed offness, covertness, probably serious issues with authenticity with that triple combination. In Libra, working through a lot of layers of the false self, because we are very much about acceptance and cooperation and relationship in Libra. The rejection is very, very difficult. Vulnerability and emotions and what is the word? What is the word? Intimacy. So we can have a conflict there between the Cancer person's need for openness and intimacy and connection and the stellium person, because we have Pluto involved there in Libra, their penchant for hiding, and that could make us nervous as the Cancer ascendant. How does a stellium person see the Cancer ascendant person? Probably as a more vulnerable target in terms of getting to get away with some of their potentially unhealed ways of being. We are going to call bullshit easier in other signs, but we tend to have a need for attachment, belonging with Cancer. So we can have a little bit of a difference there. Hopefully the Libra person knows themselves. Andrea, Venus in the 9th house in Taurus in conjunct Jupiter. Does this show about finances? We always overdo with any hard aspects to Jupiter. And within conjunctions, we have an issue with strongly erring on one side and then paradoxically erring on the other. So we can be very surprising within conjunctions. And we don't have a lot of sensual or monetary control with that in conjunction. We are into luxury, so we have to be very careful to get outside opinions when it comes to saving. Financial advisors are very helpful. And we have to learn how to say no to ourselves and others, because we can overgive and overspend, overlove. and find ourselves not getting back the return that we assume that we're going to get when it comes to investing in relationships and material things. Okay, Charlotte, Sun, Pluto, Mercury in the first. Yes, you mentioned that. All right, so this is going to have to be my last couple questions here, and then I have to get going. I'm going to go back outside. And the trolls are starting to come in. It's time to get going. Oh, what if transit Jupiter on the descendant coincides with transit Saturn, square the ascendant, moon, and transit Neptune? Opposes the ruler of the seventh. So we'll be coming to some clarity about what we really want in others and our search for more outside of ourselves, because that's the opposition to the ascendant ruler. And then we have Jupiter on the descendant, which puts us in a much better position to get along with those, especially in the context of open enemies and relationships, and to come to really good agreements about where we should be going if relationships are starting, and how we can end in a way that's mutually beneficial if they are ending. And then that coinciding with Saturn in a square to the ascendant and the moon, where we are reassessing some of our relationships in terms of how are they really practically fulfilling our expectations and our emotional needs. So Jupiter or Saturn at the descendant can both show breakups, divorces, but also commitments and new beginnings. It depends on what's already going on. What's the context there? So it's going to be more likely that we will either be coming to an ending with Saturn in a square to the moon, or a renegotiation, and that ending will go better, or that renegotiation will go better, and be mutually beneficial, because we do have Jupiter there at the same time. So very, very helpful, very helpful. Let's see. You're welcome, Charlotte. Hey, we got a new member, yay. I might let people in my apprentice group, Charlotte, but I'm really picky. We're halfway through the year. Some people can come in and catch up to what we're doing, because we're going to start to get into the weeds here. And actually in July, I think we're going to have summer school. We're going to have our intensive. So yeah, ask me at my website if it's something you're really interested in. I'm picky, though, so not a lot of people come in at all. Let's see, what else have we got? So I am going to sign off because my connection is just getting worse and worse. One last question. Okay, this has got to be it. And I'll check in with you guys probably tomorrow. What would you say about Neptune septile, the ascendant, in the natal chart? We don't know a ton about septiles. We're still learning about them. I talk about them a lot in my courses, because they are something that we are still gathering information about, and they're extremely interesting to me. But they definitely put us in a position where we will be presented with decisions that we have to make where we don't have all the information. We don't have a complete picture. We just have to either, quote, shit or get off the pot. We either have to make a decision or we end up wrongly caught in a pervasive ambivalence with that septile to Neptune from the ascendant, because we can feel like we don't have all of the spiritual information, we don't have all of the advice, we don't have the sometimes the practical solutions to be able to make a decision confidently in the moment, where we can feel like we can make some really concrete steps towards what we want. So we can feel really very much caught on this, like the plank that, pirates drive you out onto the plank. That's how we often feel with significant septiles. We're standing out there on the plank and we have to make a decision. And oftentimes, not making a decision is a decision. And we can just be in this stagnation or this ambivalence, and we finally solve it and decide, I may not have all the pieces, I may not have all the information, I may not have all the experience, but I'm going to do the best I can with what I have, or I'm going to back away and regress. We always have that that option when it comes to progression or regression, evolution or devolution. And all the signs have that, all the planets have that dual nature. We can go towards either end of that. So with septiles, you make it be. And you just need to jump. Queen of Light Bulbs. Vesta conjunct the North Node in Synastry. And each black moon, Lilith is conjunct both natal suns, which is fine. Don't worry about that. There's an agreement there between how you want to be validated and how you want to assume whatever kind of role works for you outside of a societal norm within a sexual relationship. Vesta conjunct the North Node in Synastry. Very, very minor. How the Vesta person wants to invest and keep the home fires burning and sort of keep feeding the fire. It's how we tend things and show up in a continuous, nurturing, loving way. It's very much supporting the Dharma. So the North Node person is going to eat that up. They're going to like that. Awesome, Charlotte. I will look forward to that. All right. Yes, Vesta, to invest. That's how we remember that one, Queen of Light Bulbs. Mm-hmm. Midheaven, Pluto, midpoint, conjunct the partner's moon. All right, you probably don't have to worry about this. So that's going to be the point of conjunct the partner's moon. So the moon person is going to potentially be the point of expression of that particular midpoint. I haven't seen that. I mean, I'm sure I have. I just haven't looked for it. So I can't tell you through experience. But the moon person could feel like the midpoint person. This is theory. The moon person could feel that the midpoint person was using them more as a tool for the achievement of public security. But again, I haven't seen it, so I'm just talking out of my ass here. All right, guys, you can't. This has got to be the last question. I have to get going here. So Black Moon Lilith conjunct both suns is an eccentric agreement. Yeah, that we don't have an issue with allowing each other to be Lilithian, to appreciate the other person in a way that makes sense to them. We don't feel like there's a judgment there because it's not a hard aspect. Anya, partners Venus conjunct your descendant, but from the 6th house side. You see that a lot. But as long as it's close to the descendant, within the descendant within probably 7 points or something. But it is on the 6th house side. It is considered a proper conjunction to the descendant, particularly if Venus is in the sign of the descendant. There's going to be a huge affinity there between what the descendant person is looking for. Mm-hmm. Let's see. All right, so I'm going to wrap it up for now. I will most likely check in with you guys tomorrow. I can't say for sure, but most likely. And I will be posting a new slew of videos in the membership group as well. So if you missed my live today, I will let you know about when I will be able to pop in with you guys tomorrow. Just making sure here that I didn't miss anything before I go. All right. Yeah, Mo, hopefully I see you tomorrow. Good to see everybody. All righty. I will catch you guys later on. Have a good day.